had a bit of a back and forward with a feminist on one of my videos, and it got me thinking about the argument of making people feel bad based on what someone else says to them. It is a common stance of feminists that they are fighting for the emotional well-being of feminine men and masculine women, men that just want to wear dresses and women that want to shave their hair short and play rugby. So if their only intent is to make certain groups feel good about themselves, then what issues are there with someone wanting to do that? Well, there is a phrase that is ideal for this situation, and that phrase is, "The road to hell is paved with good intention." It's not that at all that I disagree with the feminist view that homosexuals should feel happy or that women shouldn't have a positive body image. It's the way that feminists seek to reach these ends that is the problem. Having a great intent is awesome, as long as you take a realistic, fair, and unbiased logic behind it. It's the difference between someone wanting to win a race fairly and someone paying off the officials to cheat as a way to go about it. So what is wrong with the feminist approach? Well, for one, at the core, the end goal is an unrealistic one. You see, feminists seek to control the emotions of another person. It's imperative that we understand what we are talking about here. And emotions, to put simply, is a physical experience a person has subjectively. Now, can emotion be affected physically? Well, sure it can. A person can give someone else drugs to impact their emotions. They can physically harm someone to make someone experience the feeling of pain. They can lock someone up in a room and restrain them from a feeling of freedom. All these things are terrible, and physical action requires physical punishment. For example, jail or a fine or whatever. Words, however, unless screamed really loudly into someone's ear until the eardrums burst, cannot force someone to have an emotion. They can influence someone to have an emotion, and they can activate an emotion someone has conditioned themselves to have, at no fault of the person saying it, but there is no way to consistently measure the effect of words on people, unlike with, say, a bullet or a punch to the face. Nor is there an accurate way to measure the intent someone has when saying a word to somebody. Say someone wore a bulletproof jacket the day they got shot, and so they did not suffer much physical damage. It would be pretty safe to say, unless it was some kind of botched up exercise or prank, that the intent of the person shooting the other was to kill them. It's a lot harder to decide if someone calling another person online a stupid cunt wanted them to commit suicide or not. A word is in essence a random noise. I can make up a word, say Buddha Gali Buku, and it won't make anyone here feel anything for it, except maybe a deep admiration for my ability to make up awesome sounding words on the spot. Say we take the N-word. Say the N-word to some people of a paler complexion, and it will garner little to no emotional response. Say it to someone else, and you may see a fist moving quickly towards you. And then, what is the intent of the person saying the N-word to someone else? Are they a comedian saying it to make someone feel bad? Or are they a comedian saying it to make people laugh and feel good? And therein lies the dilemma. You see, most of us can agree that walking down the street being shot in the chest is not something anyone is going to want to experience. However, who is going to decide that what someone said was meant to harm the person more than to educate others, to avoid a certain behavior, or to make others feel good with laughter? And who is going to measure the amount of emotional boo-boos inflicted in someone? Well, feminists feel like they should be the ones to do so. Remember that feminists care, and you don't. You see, feminists feel that they have the moral superiority to tell you what is right and not, and what you can and can't say. And since they are morally superior, they should be the ones making all the rules. The sad fact that people more and more are waking up to is that feminists simply hold a narrow view of the world, with something right, most things terribly wrong, and for the most part good intentions covering up horrible practices and motivation. Even Hitler got some things right, and in the end all he really wanted to do is see Germany prosper. In their fight to make a world a nicer place for a group of their selected choosing, they have no hesitation to destroy an expression and free speech of people that hold views contrary to their own. Being a libertarian means understanding that to have personal freedom means that you have to give freedom to people that you may not necessarily agree with. It doesn't mean you condone their behavior or not point it out, but it does mean to accept that it exists and you let them do it so long as it does not affect you. Being a feminist, in essence, is being a communist. That is why socialism and feminism go so well together. It's fine living in a socialist country so long as the people making the rules have the same point of view as you. But the problem with it, like many people find out, is that eventually someone will come along that does not share the same views as you, or that the people living in the country who don't share the same views are not going to work anymore, or simply going to get the hell out of there, and leave you to run the country on your own. That's why communists had the right idea of making sure no one would leave the country, because imagine if the feminists completely took over, how many people would stick around here? I certainly would not be working too hard to make the nations of feminism prosper. Of course, even if you could measure how bad someone is made to feel by what someone says and the intent of that person who said it, do you really think that feminists would have an unbiased view on who is going to get arrested? Because I can tell you right now, I've been made to feel pretty bad by a lot of women, and I doubt feminists would really want to lock them up for making me feel bad. In fact, making people feel bad is the #1 strategy feminists use to try and get their way. Making people feel bad for saying things about feminism, calling people names, attributing horrible crimes to regular male expression, like that at looking of porn as being akin as to rape, or even heterosexual marriage being considered rape. Feminists are the biggest bullies out there, and they don't even know it. Or maybe they do know it, but simply don't care. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is a very simple one. Freedom of speech, freedom to people to say and do what they want without physical oppression made upon them. Now, that's not going to mean that every single person is going to be happy from now on. Freedom was never about perfection. It was never about utopia. Sure, that would be a nice goal, but the reality of the world is different to that. There are always going to be assholes, but the surefire method to fight them is to put faith in the people and give them the freedom to call someone an asshole, before the only way to get rid of an asshole is to shed your blood for it. You see, even with all the bullshit out there, I still have faith in the people to do what's right in the end, and to do it because they want to, not because someone has twisted their arm to. Because if twisting someone's arm is the only way for people to treat each other well, then that's a world I don't want to live on.